everyone, Uncle Jessy here. A little bit of a different location. Actually, this is the old location that I used to make all of my videos in, and this is just a video appreciation that I wanted to say a huge thank you to all of you for helping support me and making content here on YouTube and other social media channels here. I have had such a wild year. Earlier this year, I acquired a new studio space, and for the most part, I have completely moved over a large majority of all of my 3D printers and everything that I basically do over to this new studio space, which is where I've been recording almost all of my videos here for the past year here within 2022. So it's kind of fun shooting something back here in this spot. And actually it reminded me of a video that I did at the end of last year. And I think I might do something similar to this each year moving forward, where just kind of showing off a fun thing that I'm 3D printing and coming back to this original spot where I sort of just grew my channel to where it is today. And as you can see here, there's still a whole bunch of stuff sitting behind me. I haven't actually moved over all these shelving units and a lot of the things that are back here just yet over to my space. I'm still working on a whole bunch of different areas within there. It's a slow moving project in itself here. But what I ended up doing today is I ended up 3D printing a massive bust. Well, it's technically not a bust, it's just a head here on the Elegoo Saturn 2, which came out earlier this year, which was just an amazing 3D printer, a resin 3D printer that was just wildly popular. There was a ton of interest in this as an 8K resin 3D printer. And it was created by the amazing artist Monster Caesar, who I ended up finding over on TikTok, and has this file. I believe it might still be up for purchase over on his ArtStation. If not, apologies, I'm not sure where you can get it. I ended up buying this earlier in the year when he actually made it, and I absolutely loved this movie. So I figured it'd be no better way to celebrate Christmas this year by printing the head of the Green Knight. But I also forgot to bring my wash and cure station home, so I ended up having to bring this whole thing back to the studio and clean it there, and then I just brought it back here to the house so that we could get it off the build plate and cleaned up and check it out. Man, this brings back some good memories of doing stuff here. Oh my goodness, there we go. And I ended up slicing this in lychee slicer, and everything looked so good while I was prepping this. Oh my goodness. I need to adjust my bottom support, or my bottom layer. Oh my gosh, this is way too intense. Actually, I need to install a Wham Bam flex plate on this is what I really need to do. Holy smokes. It's coming. There we go. Check out the details on this thing. Oh my goodness, this looks like it's gonna be just absolutely incredible. So the other thing that you'll probably notice is that the chin is not attached to the head of the Green Knight. And this is actually, there's two different variations of this. One that has the chin attached, one without. I decided to go with the one that was not attached just to make it a little bit easier on myself when it comes to supporting this over in lychee and getting it prepped and ready for printing over on the Saturn 2. Now, normally I would try and use a heat gun or a hair dryer or something like that to heat up the supports to make them more easily removable. And to be honest, the way that I've got them already set up are pretty easy to remove. However, I want them to be a lot easier, so I didn't want to mess up a Tupperware container that my wife would yell at me for. So I ended up using this old, I think it's like a Elegoo wash and cure station container top here. That's just absolutely disgusting, but I flipped it upside down, filled this up with hot water so that we can go in here and dunk our print in the hot water. You only need to dunk it in there for like a second. And keep in mind, this is already cleaned. I've already cleaned this off of all of the dirty IPA. But here, once it's slightly warmed up, the supports just pop right off of this. It's such an amazing, quick and easy little trick. Again, you definitely don't want to be using anything that you're going to want to actually eat out of or use again if you're going to use the hot water method, but it's such an effective way to loosen up your supports and pop them off. Keep in mind, if you're doing things like miniatures or things that have really small, minute details, oh, look how clean that peeled off. That's just great. If you have something small like miniatures, is probably, you'll have to be very careful with any small pieces. Look how, oh my goodness. So good. I probably could have gone without the hot water, to be honest, if I just wanted to tug on this, but just loosening it up ever so slightly cleaned those up so effectively there. Lychee did an amazing job. By the way, if you're interested in my resin 3D printer settings, I just recently shared some lychee slicer profiles, as well as my FDM slicer profiles over on my Patreon. So if you're interested in more information on that, you can find links to that down below. And a huge thank you to all my Patreon supporters for your continued support over this past year, and even before that. Also, if you have extra leftover supports like this, don't throw those out. You can keep a whole bunch of them, especially these taller ones here, and use them for the tank clean feature on your resin 3D printers. Now, normally for a project like this where I need to join two resin prints together, I would recommend resin welding, where you take a little bit of resin of the same resin or even of different colored resin, place it on both parts, and then use a UV light pen or a cure station here to actually cure those in place. However, for this, just as a temporary hold or as an initial hold here, I'm gonna use a little bit of super glue here. I'm gonna put it inside of the opening. And since it's still a little wet here and not cured, it should hopefully dry up and cure with this super glue extremely fast. Yeah, it's already welded together. That was like 5 seconds there. And look what I found. I figured since the top was laying around here, I assumed the bottom base portion of this old wash and cure station that I had somewhere laying around here. Yeah, it was in the closet, and thankfully powers up and everything, so we can actually get this head cured. And just like that, he is finished curing after a quick 3-minute sunshine bath there. This is the Green Knight bust, I guess you would call it here. It's just really the head as seen in the Green Knight movie. This just looks so incredible. Honestly, I might have to go and try and reprint this here on the Jupiter, even larger than this. Again, this was at 180% of the original scale and is a nice piece here. Tons of tiny details for you to bring out here on something like the Elegoo Saturn 2. I also want to say a big thank you to Elegoo for your continued support of me making videos here on YouTube and producing some absolutely amazing resin 3D printers, and have also had just an amazing year with your FDM 3D printers, and it looks like 2023 is going to be even better in that regards. I'm really excited to see what Elegoo is going to be doing next year. This year they've just had an absolutely stacked lineup with the different 3D printers that they released earlier this year. They had the Saturn 2, they had the Saturn 8K, they had the Saturn 3 Pro, they released the Neptune 3, the Neptune 3 Pro, and the Neptune 3 Plus is hopefully releasing soon, and hopefully in early 2023, I'll be having an early hands-on look at the Neptune 3 Max. That thing just looks absolutely huge. But I just wanted to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I still have 2 large video projects that I'm trying to wrap up the editing on and get out later in the week here. But I just wanted to do this. I think, again, I'm gonna try and do something like this every year, just sort of briefly recapping some of the things that have gone on throughout the year. I mean, the big one for me is obviously moving into that new recording space, but it is nice to jump back into something old and familiar here. So maybe I'll continue to make some videos every once in a while here in this space. I just want to say thanks so much for watching, and again, hope you guys have a great Christmas or happy Hanukkah, whatever it is that you might be celebrating. Spend some time with your family, do some 3D printing, and I'll see you next time.